This experiment covers small metal beams. Throughout this experiment, we have 4 different types of beams, 3 aluminum beams and 1 steel beam, and each beam is represented by a different dimension. We're going to show 1 aluminum beam during this particular video. So we have a 1/4 inch by 1/2 inch aluminum beam, and we will place that into our test setup, and we're going to load that beam up with a certain amount of weight and then see how the beam deflects, and then we'll do some calculations based on the deflection of that beam. So we load in 10-pound increments. So we set up the test system to where the beam is zeroed with the scale on the test system, and then we load in the 10-pound increments from that point. So we can stabilize any kind of swinging throughout the test system in order to get the different types of loads monitored. One thing to take into consideration for this lab is the unit for our particular dial gauge is 0.001 inches. Therefore, the value that you see will be divided by 1,000 to accommodate that delta value that will be in the handout. So the primary thing too is the dial gauge also shows our measurements in reverse. So that first measurement that was around 45 is really around 55 or 65. So if it shows 45, then that measurement is really 55. So it reverses the measurement that you see on that particular dial gauge. So just keep that in mind. If you're seeing a measurement on the dial gauge is actually reading that measurement in reverse, especially with this particular beam. As you see, it's deflected and making that kind of U-type curve, that several rotations will likely be present in this. So 1 full rotation will then make 100, and then that next value that you see will be, say, 120 if it was at 80. Now we put a 5-pound weight on, and we will find our dial gauge measurement for a 5-pound weight, or add it with that 5-pound weight, and then we will take the 10-pound weights off after that. So for example, our weight was, say, 0, 10, 20, 30, 35. And then if we take the 10-pound weights off, then it would be 25, 15, and then the 5-pound weight would come off last. Each of the beams is loaded to a different max load. You can see that in the handout as well. So the steel beam as well as the 3 aluminum beams are all loaded to a different measurement. And again, you can stabilize the scale as movement is being shown on the scale. You can stabilize it before you get your measurement. So we'll stabilize it here, and then we can read our measurement for that particular load. So this final load is at 5 pounds, so since we went up a certain load, then we remove the 10 pounds, then this load is a 5-pound load, and then the 5-pound load will be removed last to do our second reading at 0. Once this 5-pound load is removed, we would get our final measurement, and then that will conclude this particular experiment for this beam. So in addition to this beam, there would also be 3 other beams. In this particular video, we made a shortened version, so only 1 beam is shown in this video.